Hello everyone, I'm D-Mind, the mind of one and all, and welcome back to another episode of An Octave Higher. So in the last episode, we tried for a different ending and we got it. Well, actually, I started the episode and it ended like immediately, and I'm like, no, what am I gonna do for the rest of the episode? So I tried to go for the other endings, and this ending seems to carry on. We'll see how long it goes though. Of course, do be careful out there. Those proletariat are about at this time of night. Lately I've heard terrible things. It seems they'll go after anyone they find. I will. Goodbye, Mrs. Howard. Alright. Take care, Alice. I leave the cafe after bidding my farewell. The street is completely empty under the starlit night sky, where police carriages are roaming to and fro. A carriage flies by me, low and slow. The policeman riding inside gestures me a playful salute, to which I reply with a cheery hand wave. Satisfied, the policeman pilots his carriage forward to resume his patrol. It wasn't always like this, but a year ago some pros start assaulting people in the city. It seems like it's been getting more frequent ever since. Wait, pros start assaulting people in the city? Libertad? Oh, did Franz become Libertad? A member of Libertad? Or maybe even the leader? I mean, that would explain why he wore the cloak in that what do I call it? That sneak peek, I guess? In that tease of a ending? Like, the end? You didn't got the true ending? Which I think this is. How did they get mana potions for something like this? From the cafe, fortunately, I only have to walk 100 steps before reaching the intersection that connects the complex housing the cafe to a main street. From there, it's only a few more paces to an omnibus stop. You actually count how many steps? As dangerous as the city has become, nobody but aristocrats would dine at the cafe if there weren't an omnibus stop nearby. I have to be careful myself. Night rider buses are few and far between, so I make sure to leave the cafe 15 minutes before my bus arrives. How do you become an aristocrat? Or maybe you're not rich, you just dress to the occasion because you play at fancy places. Oh well. It should arrive in, I glance at my chronometer, 2 minutes. 2 minutes later, I board the omnibus and breathe a small sigh of relief. There are a few others on the bus, their energy sapped after a long day of work. Since the buses become infrequent after midnight, they take longer routes and make frequent stops through a number of faraway districts. Unlike the daytime, omnibuses that fly more directly between two terminals. Alright, that was a time when I loved detours like this. Huh. I arrived almost an hour later, thankfully only a short distance away from home. Oh, you still live with Rita? Yeah, and she's grown up. At least? Rita is still yawning and rubbing her eyes in front of the kitchen when she murmurs my name. Rita, have you not gone to bed yet? Work, deadline, sleepy, need coffee. She answers with half-closed eyes. If you would not mind waiting a minute, I could brew you a cup for you. Alice? Yes, Rita? Alice? Yes? Alice? Yeah? I know you've been working at Howard's for 2 years now, but that high-class lady talk doesn't suit you at all. Okay, so you're not rich. You just yeah, that's why I said just because you work there. That's my Alice. I'm going to bed. Night-night. But how rich are you though? I know. I guess not that rich if you still live with Rita. Or no, you have your own place, I guess. Huh? What about my coffee? Weren't you going to make it yourself? But I prefer my coffee made with your love. What kind of taste is that? Alice, you know what? Instead of coffee, would you play the piano for me? Wait. So what happened to Franz? And why don't you two care? What? After Franz ran away with his hands chopped off? You just said, fuck it, leave him there. We don't, who cares? And just go on with your lives? No, I'm sure something happened, but the time skip, man. Come on. Arita, it's past midnight. Your mother is sleeping, and our neighbors, and everyone. Yes, we now have a piano at home. It's not my job at the cafe has... Wait, it's not that my job at the cafe has made me rich, but about a year after I started working, I saved enough to purchase a second-hand piano from one of Alanis' acquaintances. Ah, so she's not rich, as I thought. Before buying the piano, I always had to go to the cafe early and ask Mrs. Howard to let me practice. Now I can practice at home. Alright, piano is no good. Maybe you could energize me with your magic. That keep you up until morning and then you make me stay up with you. At least I got it. Let's stay up till morning. No, I'm sleepy. For some reason, Arita is still sitting at my desk, her eyes glued to a stack of drawings of magic system diagrams. On my desk sits a steaming cup of coffee, apparently the flavor of my love. I sit on my bed, sipping coffee from my own cup. A dash of sugar has made it bittersweet. Then the fire flows here and... I need a way to block the water from the second input. I don't dislike Arita being in my room so late. I don't see her much except on weekends since we both started working full time. Arita is already gone by the time I wake up every morning. When she comes home, I've gone to the cafe. When I come home, she's asleep. Arita, are you still working on the calculator? Oh. Arita turns to me, her face lights up. Nope, that was done a long time ago. I had a working proof of concept for my capstone and the first prototype was successfully built the year after that. She explains all this with a bright expression. Can I see the prototype? Well, the thing is, the calculator is as big as an omnibus, so it's a little hard to move from that's one huge ass calculator. Compared to the calculators, we know of. After graduating from Conservatoire d'Ouverture more than 4 years ago, Arita went on to work as a magical engineer in Magical Mechanical Research and Development Center. When she was still working on her final year project in Conservatoire, nobody had paid any attention to her research, but the day after she presented it to the examiners, it made headlines everywhere. She had built a proof of concept for a magic system that could perform simple arithmetic calculation. Think of 3 plus 4 or 5 plus 6. As long as both numbers were less than 16, the machine could produce the sum of the two numbers. So it could only calculate that. You can't add like 17 plus 17 or anything more. Lord Godwin came to our house the day the news was published in Overture Science Journal. Then what are you working on now? A magical analytical engine. What? Every time watches me take a sip from my cup with enthusiasm gleaming on her face. What is an analytical engine? It's going to be really cool, at least. So what is an analytical engine? Yeah, I just realized the ending. Yeah, I think this is the true ending. It keeps on going. Like the other one just ended. Now we're actually going on. It's like the calculator, but it can be used for general purpose computation. You can customize what it calculates and give it instructions that will be executed according to a defined logic. Sounds complicated. At least, are you interested in knowing how magic machines can process mathematical logic? Another choice! Alright. Let's just say yes, but that will give a lot of exposition. Huh? You really want to know? I was just joking, at least. You don't really need to understand this stuff. I can try explaining it as best as I can, but it's really technical stuff. Are you sure you want to know the technical details? I'm a geek. Honest, tell me the technical details. Yeah, it's after midnight, so I want to say the other option, but... Seriously? Awesome, I'll do my best to explain. When we talk about mathematical logic, we're talking about truth values. In this case, a logical statement can be either true or false. Exposition time! I'm gonna try my tutorial voice. For example, the statement Alice is a girl is true because, well, you're a girl, man. Alright, never mind. You know what? Let's not do it. Well, because you're a girl, man. On the other hand, the statement Alice is a boy is false, obviously. So if we join two logical systems, we make a more complex statement. Alright. For example, the statement Alice is a girl and she likes to play the piano is made out of two logical statements. Alice is a girl and Alice likes to play the piano. And since Alice is a girl is true and Alice likes to play the piano is also true, the combined statement is Alice is a girl and she likes to play the piano is true. But if I say Alice is a girl and she likes to play the violin, that statement is false. Even though Alice is a girl, it's false because Alice is defined as liking the piano, not the violin. In order for a statement like this to be true, both statements have to be true. The key word here is and. I also use the word or, so if I say Alice likes to play the piano or the violin, the statement is true. Even though Alice doesn't like to play the violin, because Alice at least likes to play the piano, it's true. Alright, I get it. Unlike its and counterpart, a statement that is formed by joining two statements with or is true if at least one of the individual statements is true. Alright. We can also negate a statement to change its truth value from true to false and vice versa. For example, the statement Alice is not a girl is the negation of Alice is a girl and is false. The statement is Alice likes to play the violin is false, is negation, Alice does not like to play the violin is true. These words that we use to alter truth values and or not are called logical operators. Computing magic machinery basically deals with these truth values and perform logical operations on the truth values to process a set of input and produce a set of outputs. In order to do that, we need to pick elements with which magic machines can work to represent the value of true and the value of false. When I started working on my final year project 5 years ago, I chose fire to represent true and water to represent false. Now that we have fire and water as representation of true and false, we design simple magic systems that can work as logical operators for fire and water. We call the mathematical models of these magic systems logic gates. Oh wow, and you even show me it. Oh wow. So much exposition! The first logic gate is the AND gate. Like I told you, an AND gate takes two logical inputs and produces an output that is true if and only if both inputs are true. Otherwise, the output is false. I get it, I already know. Why? And you're gonna do or and not. No! I can't go through this. So we have to design a magic system that takes either fire or water as inputs and produce fire if both inputs are fire, but produces water otherwise. Can I just get through this? Here's what one of those systems can look like. Okay. Imagine that the machine summons fire or water into two openings at the top of a piping system. The pipes then delivers the fire or water down to the bottom to the opening at the bottom. I'm just gonna read really fast and try to get through this. The pipe openings at the top serve as inputs for our AND gate, while the pipe opening at the bottom is the output. When both inputs are water, false, the water flows down and comes out of the piping system still water. The output is false. If one of the inputs is fire, true, and the other is water, false, what happens is that the fire starts spreading through this pipe, but then is doused by the water coming through the other pipe. As a result, the output is still water. It's false. Alright. The only way the system can produce fire as output is to supply both inputs with fire, which is exactly the characteristic of an AND logic. And that's our AND logic gate that we made implemented as a magic system. Alright, cool. The next is the OR gate. The output of an OR gate is true if at least one of its input is true, otherwise the output is false. Fuck. Why? Why? So our magic system has to produce fire if at least one of its input is fire and produces water only if both inputs are water. Oh god. Why did I say yes? The magic system looks a lot like the AND gate system but with an additional pipe at the top. However, this extra opening is not used as an input. Instead, the machine constantly summons fire into the piping system through the opening. As long as the system is in operation, it's always on. So let's see how this additional fire changes an AND into an OR. If both inputs are water, the fire isn't effective. It is easily extinguished by the two streams of water coming from both sides. The output is false. But if one of the inputs is fire, then the extra fire fortifies the fire out input, and the single stream of water from the other input is no longer enough to douse the fire. Therefore, the fire spreads to the bottom of the pipe and the output is true. Of course, setting both inputs on fire will also produce fire as output. The only way to make the output false is to set both inputs as false. This is the desired characteristic of the OR logic gate. Now the NOT gate. Yep. Unlike AND and OR that take two inputs, the NOT gate only takes one input and negates its true value. If the input is false, the output is true. If the input is true, the output is false. Water becomes fire, fire becomes water. Sounds simple, doesn't it? However, the implementation turns out to be trickier than AND and OR. Oh wow. We now have two additional openings besides the input. Water is constantly summoned into the first extra opening, fire is summoned to the lower one. And that's not all, the machine also summons a small piece of rock that clogs the piping system at the junction, where the input fire or water would meet the constantly flowing water. Let's see how this system works. If the input is water, the water flows down through the pipe, but its flow is obstructed by the rock inside the pipe. Likewise, the water from the extra opening is also blocked by the rock. Because of this rock, no water flows down to the bottom, and what reaches the output opening at the bottom is only the fire that is constantly summoned into the second extra opening. The output is fire when the input is water. But let's see what if we change the input to fire. Alright. The water from the first additional opening is at first still blocked by the rock, but the input fire is burning and melting the rock. It can melt the rock? Is that even possible? I guess it is. If it's really hot, you can melt the rock into like more. Yeah, but is it really that hot? Less than half a second later, when the rock has turned completely into ashes, the water streams down through the pipe, douses both the input fire and the second fire, and comes out the output opening. Setting the input on fire results in water as the output. That's the NOT logic gate. It negates the input truth value. False becomes true and true becomes false. Alright. Besides AND, OR, and NOT, there's another important logic gate. The exclusive OR and XOR, as you call it, is similar to OR, but the output is false if both inputs are true. Oh my god, my mouth. You can say that XOR is an either or logic. At least it's either a man or a woman, but she can't be both a man and a woman. I mean, for all intents and purposes, let's just go with me here. The outputs of an AND or OR gate, XOR gate, is true if both inputs have different values. If one of the inputs is false and the other is true, the output is true, otherwise the output is false. I can't do it. I can't continue on that voicing. My mouth. The implementation is even trickier than the NOT gate, but the idea is similar. There are rocks that prevent water from streaming down the pipe unless the rocks are melted down by fire. Every time it's become Francis now. I'm not going to explain how this system works in detail, but what's important is that you know that this logic gate exists, and that it can be implemented as a magic system. These logic gates are what makes it possible to carry out logical operations in magic machines, and you can use several gates together to process even more complex logic. You can think of logic gates like AND, OR, NOT, and XOR as basic building blocks for larger and more complex systems. What more arithmetic operations? How can magic machines calculate 7 plus 8 or 9 plus 10? It turns out you can implement arithmetic operations using a combination of logic gates too. But unlike us humans who do arithmetic with 10 numerals 0 to 9, magic machines work with base 2 numeral system where the only numerals are 0 and 1. But the amazing thing is, machines don't care what the name of the number is. To them, 0 and 1 are the same as false and true, or water and fire. As long as there are only two values, the system works. This numeral system is called binary. That means a pair of something and numbers that are expressed in this numeral system are called binary numbers. Yes. Thank you for teaching me that. Because each digit in a binary system we call a binary digit is a bit is either 0 or 1, you can treat it as a truth value, thus it is possible to process numbers by carrying out logical operations on them. When I built what I built from a final year project is the Conservatoire is a proof of concept of a magic machine that calculates the sum of 2-bit, 4-bit binary numbers. The prototype in already works with 8-bit numbers. If you're really interested in knowing more about binary numbers and how binary adders can be implemented using logic gates, you can visit a Goggle. Not Google. A Goggle library and ask the librarian to search for materials on binary numbers, logic gates and full adder. It's still going on! Why did I say yes? What my team in MM is working on right now, the analytical engine, is something that is much more complex than my final year project. The calculator is now only a component of the analytical engine that we call an arithmetic logic unit. It is the main unit that carries out logical and arithmetic operations, but there is another unit that controls what operation it does and what numbers it operates on. And another important component is the memory, where we store programs and data. My team is still trying to figure out the best mechanism to implement this memory. One of the methods is using an array of small chambers in which fire and water can be stored. Each chamber will represent a single bit. This analytical engine will allow us to practically perform any kind of computation. Oh god, thank you. Oh, my mouth. Doing Arita's voice is a lot more tiring than doing a male voice, cause you have to doing a female voice actually is more tiring than a male voice because of course I'm a man, so it's easier to do a male voice. So long as I don't need to lower more, increase, like, make my voice higher pitch. Wow. So, did you understand? Actually, you kinda lost me a bit on the other one, but sure, let's just say yes. Whoa, really? Wow, Elise, you're really smart. If only you had studied in the conservatoire, you'd have become an amazing mage. So you're working on a computing machine that is even more complex than the calculator, huh? Your analytical engine sounds really impressive. It's not just my analytical engine. I mean, I'm the lead researcher, but I have a team of scientists and engineers working on different parts of the machine. Whoa, you have your own team? Yeah, I've been working in MM for almost 5 years, remember? Besides, the analytical engine is the continuation of the research I did in Conservatoire. 5 years. Yeah, that's right, isn't it? What's funny? 5 years ago, I was also an MM employee, so technically I'm your senior. You're right. No, that is so not right. I was just a lowly factory worker whose work was to catch fire all day. It was totally different from your job. I mostly just stare at magic systems diagram all day every day, so maybe it really isn't that much different. 5 years, huh? Time flies. So that means it's been 5 years since the incident. Oh, so you don't... What happened to France then? What happened to you guys in France? It was so kind of Alanis and Rita to let me continue living with them, even though I lost my job as France's research assistant. Sometimes I would help out in Alanis' clinic, but other than that, I was unemployed until I got hired by Mrs. Howard a couple of years ago. Rita? You said the calculator is as big as an omnibus, right? How big would the analytical engine be? Rita rolls her eyes up and scratches her head. About as big as our house, I think? Maybe bigger? That's huge! Yeah, it's not something you'll find in any household. Only governments or big institutions will be able to own an analytical engine. I think there is a world market for maybe 5 analytical engines. That's too bad. I was hoping we have one in our house. No way. Besides, by my estimate, the analytical engine is still more than 10 years away from completion. 10 years? It's amazing that MM is willing to invest in something like that. Yup, Lord Godwin is extremely excited about this research. He's going to unveil a very early, doesn't really work yet model of the analytical engine next Friday in Conservatoire d'Ouverture, and I'll be presenting. I'm going to say in front of the audience, MM's latest invention is magical, mechanical, analytical. How cool is that? Next Friday. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days from now. No wonder you're still working even though it's already 3 in the morning. Yeah. I don't normally work until... 3? Isn't it still 2 o'clock? Oh my gosh, you're right, I got to work! Alright. And we got the dots. Oh, my mouth is tired. My poor mouth. Rita is already gone when I wake up in the morning, 2 hours before noon, according to the chronometer. I sit on the bed, still feeling sluggish from staying up so late. Or was it early? By the time Rita and I stopped chatting, I was already tired, but the coffee was keeping me awake. I think it was 4 o'clock when I finally fell asleep. I remember that Rita is still working then, which means she couldn't have had more than 4 hours of sleep considering that she always leaves for work at 8. Her determination is amazing. As for me, I don't have anything to do until evening because the cafe doesn't open until sundown. Sleepy. Not even the warm sunlight and the light breeze outside the window are enough to make me want to get out of bed and go outside. It's now the transition from winter to spring, when the weather just can't seem to make up its mind whether to be hot or cold. Compared to that, my bed is 100 times more tempting. That's it, I'm going back to sleep. I let my back fall on the cozy bed and close my eyes, seeking solace under the warm blanket. Bad, Elise, bad. I know how you feel. I forced myself to jump out of bed and drag my feet to the door while stifling a yawn. Good morning, Elise. I forgot how to do your voice. Wait. Good morning, Elise. Good... morning, Alanis. Yeah, exactly like every time this morning. Ha ha ha, has she left? Yes, she didn't seem completely awake, but she went to work nonetheless. Rita's willpower is strong. Behind Alanis, some patients are already waiting in the waiting room for their examination. This house is also used as a psychiatry clinic where Alanis takes psych patients. She has a license to diagnose and treat patients, but she spends most of her time talking with the people who come in. Just talking seems to help most people. From time to time, I still help out in the clinic by curing patients who happen to have an illness or energizing those who are physically drained from overworking. Ah, have you started the psychiatry sessions? No, but I will in a minute. I have just finished making preparations. I'll help you out. Just give me a second to energize myself. Alana smiles kindly and shakes her head. No, don't worry about it. Why don't you just take a walk outside and breathe some fresh air? Remember, at least your real strength lies in your own mind. Don't always rely on your magic. Alana chuckles softly. Okay, I'll give it a try. With a smile, she turns away and walks to her patients. She greets them, opens the door to her examination room and leads an older woman inside. Once Alanis has disappeared into her examination room, I take a quick shower, have brunch, and head outside for a walk. The air outside is a little chilly but not unpleasant. At this hour there aren't many people because almost everyone is at work. Children are all at school. Now Alanis told me to take a walk, but where should I go? I don't like wandering around without any real destination. Maybe I should try the omnibus. Heading to the omnibus stop, I walk past an old couple sitting on a bench. I smile at them and they smile back at me. At the omnibus stop, a young woman and her toddler boy are chatting merrily while waiting for the bus to arrive. I talk and laugh with them until a minute later a bus arrives. When was it? 2 years? 3 years ago? That moving your body inside an omnibus stopped feeling like you're suddenly losing half your body weight? An omnibus interior used to be a low gravity environment because the gravity was partially nullified in order to make it easier to carry the omnibus using levitation magic, or more, exposition. Nowadays the omnibus is equipped with a second magic machine that cancels out nullification, the nullification of gravity inside without affecting the gravity outside, so the bus is still light for the driver who steers it but doesn't feel jarring for the passengers. Along with other smaller improvements, the omnibus today is undoubtedly better than the omnibus of 5 years ago. Alright, cool. And it's not just omnibuses that have seen improvements lately. Our room heater at home can automatically warm the air to the perfect temperature. The coffee machine can brew a cup of coffee in under a minute. Chronometers can now last a week in a single mana charge. Magic machine technology has progressed so far and so fast in only 5 years. There are now more magic machines in the city. They are more advanced, they are more useful and helpful. They make the life of people in Overture easier. The mother and the little boy stand up from their seats when the bus stops in front of a bookstore. The boy waves at me as he gets off the bus. Dots. I still have no idea where the omnibus is taking me. Looking outside, I realize that I'm already quite far away from the main city area. Wait, where are you going in the bus then? At the next stop, I get off the bus. Oh, you got out of the post area. The street is familiar. I haven't been here in a long time, and many things have changed since the last time I was here. But I still remember this street. This is close to the factory where I used to work. The factory. I wonder if it has changed. I wonder if my friends still work there. Before I know it, I'm already making a left turn onto the factory road. Oh. Thoughts. Standing outside the factory building, I peek inside through an open window. A young girl stands in front of a big furnace. Toilsomely, she casts fire to set the furnace ablaze. Her sweat evaporates in the heat. Around her, other workers are freezing the molten metal, streaming down to the molds in front of them. A worker casts wind to rotate a gear in the mechanical system. You explained this to me before, why again? People move chassis parts from conveyor belt to conveyor belt. Yes. They talk little, their mind focused on casting their magic spells. In contrast to the chilly air outside, the air inside the factory building is suffocating. A supervisor walks around the assembly line. When the girl in front of the furnace stops casting a fire, he yells at her, prompting her to cast the spell again. And so the scene repeats and repeats again. A fire bursts, liquid turns into solid, a gust of wind blows, gears turn, conveyor belts move, a chassis is assembled. Then the scene repeats, again, and again. The workers all have this blank look on their faces. The girl in front of the furnace keeps shooting fire from her hands, but there is no fire in her eyes. The worker who freezes chassis parts wears expression as cold as the now solid metal now on the molds. The factory is still exactly the same as it was 5 years ago. Not a thing has changed. In the city, people's lives are made much easier by magic machines, but here, still, almost every job is done by casting magic spells manually. It's also still done by the same underpaid and overworked pros. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Is the MM in which Arita works really the same MM I'm seeing right now? There are some faces that I recognize among the workers, but I decide not to approach them. I don't know what I would say to them. Oh, but I think this is a good place to end it, so leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and follow me on Twitter at DMindGaming if you have enjoyed, and I hope to see you again in the next episode.